Alright.
Yeah.
Great. However, the committee of the whole meeting, February 4th, 2025. It is 6:58 p.m. Roll call please.
Babcock,
Here.
Valco,
Here.
Petty, here, Clark,
Here.
Wright,
Here.
Gustafson, here.
Item number one, approval of the minutes. So a motion to approve the minutes from January 21st.
Second.
Motion by trustee Babcock, second by trustee Cuddy. Any additions, corrections, comments? Roll call please.
Wright,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Petty, yes, Valco,
Yes.
Babcock.
Yes.
Item number two, old business, or sorry, public comment, first, any public comments? Will be time at the end, if anybody would like to give comments after this. Item number two is old business, it's discussion of the 2025 budget and appropriations. We start off, everybody's seen the budget, we start copies, I think, at this point, it's probably very good and all. If we want to start off maybe with, you've got copies of the budget, operational budget, sort of a different printout version of it, sort of it's just the spreadsheet version of it. Maybe also a copy of the capital, sort of proposed capital projects, as well as a listing of those capital projects. What's probably the easiest one to do is, when has the operational budget, every second, look at that, are there any questions about the operational budget? We're going to get much discussion about it at the last board meeting. So the only sort of additional things we've got in there, these are, we have special events that are in there. You'll note in your copy, you've got an additional special event this year. We've got money in there for a Roscoe Restaurant Week that we were trying to get put together and asking for approval for, just essentially to cover any advertising expenses we might need for that, publications on that. So that's new in there.
And the extra event might be.
Well, and maybe we should also at this point, if we discuss what special events, we can talk about your proposed special event, if you'd like to at this point, just so we can sort of address all the budgetary things at the same time.
Okay. Introduce again Joe Giacconi from police. Joe and I meeting a couple of times, several times actually. We're proposing a summer fest at Riverside Park. I've had discussions with Sam, I've had discussions with Troy, and I've had discussions with Chief Bergeron. Everything looks good from our angle. A couple of concerns from Sam and the fire chief that I think will be taken care of. Sam has come up with 2 or 3 excellent ideas for additional security and things of that nature. Actually, Sam laid out a far better plan than for the grounds than we did. So it all flows better, it all moves better. And actually looks operationally wise a whole lot better than what we came up with. So proposition we wanted to try is August 9th this summer. First ever Roscoe Music Riverfest with 3 bands in mind. I will tell you they're geared more towards I'll just say a 35 and older crowd.
Yeah, I mean, the bands are booked. It's just if it's a green light, if this works, if not, they understand, so.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 1 or 2 for the opening acts. We're looking at 3 bands. The middle act, which would be that 70s band, they confirmed this morning.
Okay.
And then the night band would be Naughty Naughty. Which I'll tell you right now, that's gonna draw probably 3,000 people just to see Naughty Naughty outside.
To see them outside.
What's the name of the band?
Naughty, it's nautical. We've
Yeah.
got to lay out,
Dirty fish that
Yeah.
is stocking.
we've got a layout that we think will work. We've come up with a list of, and I can share this, we've got a list of ideas, we got a list of vendor booths, food, car show, kids booth area. There's a whole list. I can share that with you folks if you'd like. The big thing is going to be a dollar amount. We're looking on a low end of probably 50,000 for the day. I will tell you, we've reached out. Can I share? I guess I can share who I've reached out to. Joe and I will have a meeting at the Hard Rock this Friday morning coming up.
Yeah.
Those folks that Joe set up. I've applied with Ho-Chunk and spoken to their office this morning. Also reached out and actually got to talk to somebody with Danica Patrick's team. So we're looking at that angle, and we're looking at some other local businesses for some pretty big sponsorship money. It'd be nice, and we'd like to keep the village's extent to around 10,000 for that event and keep it under that. The main thing I think here, and Joe will probably agree, is that if we don't pull a big sponsor, then this might not fly. We're ready for that as well.
What do you mean by that?
We need, well, share a stage cost and.
Well, I can tell you this much, I know off the top of my head, because I was on the board for the first 2 or 3 years when they did that Lost Park Canton Music in the Heart Fest, which is still going every year. I knew a lot of these expenses would be large. So the stage rental, sound, lights, all that, that's $7,500 minimum. You're looking at with that and the bands is gonna be about 13,400. Obviously tent rentals, security, fencing. List goes on. Marketing alone will be probably about 5,000. It's big. I mean, once you add it all up, it's to 75,000 in a blink of an eye.
We're down to even counting like garbage and.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, we've gone through
A
the
lot of
list.
along the way. I mean, I have multiple contacts with charities that will have groups come out, pick up the trash for volunteer work or whatever you want to label it as. I mean, it's big, you know, you got to get a hold of someone like Bird Reynolds and get out a massive amount of tents to put up there. It's good. I mean, but it's, yeah, it's money. Like I said at the beginning, it's money. And I know we will have the beer tent out there, and roughly speaking, that's over $10,000 that I'll have to spend on serving with alcohol to purchase. So it's money. We got to raise some money. So like Mike said, we're gonna not holding back. I'll call anybody. We just got to get it up and running.
We've got a pretty extensive list that we've come up with as far as area business and actually a lot of outside businesses as well, like Yingling and Joe's got some outside.
Yeah.
Pace distributing, some of these folks that are maybe outside the area. And if I can say it too, I mean, we've had some great help, just a salute, kudos to some Loves Park people. They did sit down with us and help us. So
Will there be an
they've
entry
extended
fee?
no, we don't want to charge, we don't want to mess with cash, money. And have people at these entrances, exits. It's just, it seems to be, you know, slide your car, who's got, you know.
Yeah,
We will, Joe has a friend with ATM machines that will be on the site for purchase of food and beverage, and things of that nature.
You know, send out a public flyer for whoever's in like a 30-mile radius that owns a food truck. And obviously first come, first serve, or first dibs, I should say, for the local community. If you want to set up a food tent or a food truck, Or like the huts, like we tried on December 14th, use one of those, but. You know, there'll be a small charge for them too. So, but I mean, they can generate a lot of revenue on that day. A lot. Obviously, besides the money, we all know it's outdoors, so. Mother Nature really has to be on our side, otherwise it's Sam will find me off the edge of that bridge.
Just for clarification, is this going to be a special permit taken out by organization XYZ to host something at Riverside Park, and we then just grant the permit and wish everyone who's organizing it well? Or is it something that is sponsored by the Village of Roscoe? We take ownership of all of the issues and whatever that means when we are sponsoring something. So which way are we going with this?
Good question. Legally, I couldn't answer that. I want to make sure that we're covered on our end. I do know, and I talked to Sam, we've kind of taken security as a number one item. We've even talked about hiring Metro out of Rockford, supplying us 8 people within the grounds, bonding of people to enter. Chief will have ambulance and things of that nature, and if we need another ambulance out there, but I don't know the liability that might be a better question for someone else. I mean, we're doing the inviting. We would be doing that.
I guess the big question is who's the, I mean, Tom and Jurgen too, but who's the contract with for like the bands, right? That's who's the agreements with, who are the agreements with? Are they with the entity? Are they with Louis? Are they with somebody else? Or are they with the Village of Roscoe? I mean, that's
It's a
a big thing looking at.
I'd probably, I'd have to say the village, yeah.
I mean, it can be done different ways, obviously. I mean, I think, back in the day, the Loves Park, festival down there, was run by the, Parks Chamber. They stopped doing that, and I think Loves Park owns it now, and they do it.
They do.
And they do it just in their own. They organize it, they set it up, they do everything, they do fireworks. You could have a not-for-profit established relatively easily to be the entity. I mean, it's a very small cost to set up an LLC like that. So that's an option. Or have some other entity pick it up, or have Village of Roscoe be the, sounds like it's in its infancy stage, so you gotta figure out which one of those you wanna do.
I got an obvious question, maybe I'm just missing something, but why are we doing it? What's the purpose of this? Is it just to have a social event?
Yes, exactly.
Maybe it's already known.
It would be the first ever,
Is it to make money though? I mean,
no, no money.
so it's just an event for people to show up.
A great community event. I've kind of said this before, I've been here 28 years, and outside of Halloween, Christmas, National Night Out,
Here's nothing.
there's nothing. This community's had nothing.
Aside from deciding what umbrella under which this would be organized, we have in the budget plugged in $32,000 for special events. So the ask, I know the words in your mouth, is your ask tonight that this be increased? I heard you say 10.
Yes, we'd like to keep it at 10.
Okay, but I think first and foremost, there should just be a straw poll among you trustees as to whether or not you support such a event. And then if you do, is your support translated into increasing the budget for special events by $10,000? Who wants to
And
weigh
honestly,
in first?
Is there gonna have to be any street closures?
But traffic controlling, you're taking that into account, you said 3,000
Yeah.
people, so
are looking at at least minimum 2 officers on a highway, just like we would do for the entire event.
On Roscoe Road.
No, on the highway 251, or to make sure that the highway stays clear, just
Yeah.
like we did for mud volleyball. Well, we just did it from the beginning of mud volleyball. This would have to extend during the whole period. And then somebody else at River and Roscoe Road, in order to make sure that we're pushing them through there. And the way we'd have the traffic set up is we push them just like in mud volleyball, all the way. Snake them back into the back so we can line them up if need be.
Yeah.
It's an all-day event, so I mean, it's not like necessarily everybody's gonna come at once. It's just gonna be droves of people here and there possibly.
They don't leave.
So we have to put people out there the entire time and then, yeah, man the actual.
So what's the time frame you
Looking
guys
at
talked
12
about?
12 to 9, and so it doesn't turn into a late night, you know what I'm saying? Late night, hangout.
What, does the 10,000 include extra police presence or? Or is that just
It
advertising?
could if we have to. We have not added that in. We're trying to spend under that.
So the 10,000 is what,
Correct.
is just what you want to cover.
Yeah, everything.
You thinking?
Including police and public works.
I've gotta
Or
look-
is this more like your, for the external stuff? Yes.
I gotta look at how much.
10,000.
I don't either.
One police officer.
It's just under 8. I think.
Working.
Just external.
Right.
Yeah. You know.
Just to make the event happen.
Then it would have to be outside.
Donate
Just
15,000.
to-
Just this goes on and on, we're gonna get to 60,000 quick. It won't be, I mean, shotgun, it's not gonna be too difficult.
Where the seed money is what you're looking for.
Exactly, that's gonna be the question, and I mean, I don't think we need honestly to vote right away, I mean, if we wanna do a straw, just a. It's gonna determine whether or not he and I can go out and beg. And it's gonna really be quick, I mean, we should be already underway. And it's gonna be vital if somebody doesn't drop a big check on us, I honestly don't think we should go any farther if we can't get somebody to.
Like a big sponsor. One
That's
big
what
We'll know in
sponsor.
3 weeks.
But,
Yeah.
We'll know in 3 weeks if it's yay or nay.
okay, but let's go back to the first question. Is everyone on board if this can financially happen?
I'm okay with putting the 10,000 in, but I think Sam's gonna have to let us know what he's gonna need, because.
I've given some preliminary numbers. so I don't-
Well, I guess I wasn't clear. My first question is, the idea of an event. Do you support the idea of an event? Let's have that as one category. And then the second, yes, there's money issue and everyone must have an idea of what they think not to exceed this board should chip in. Right?
I thought that's what I'm saying, but yes, I support putting the 10,000 for getting it started up, but we also need to see what Sam's. Come up with numbers further.
I've done a rough estimate.
It was, yeah, I don't,
I believe it was just rough estimate, just shy of $8,000.
That's not.
Sue,
Yes,
and your comfort level with the dollar support is at what range?
I'm very comfortable.
The 10.
The 10.
Plus.
Plus police department and public works.
Sam's around 77, all right, I just found it.
Stacy,
Yes and yes.
William?
See, I'm not opposed to the idea. I think it's just, and then they said, since unless there's a lot more known about it, I think it needs to be a little bit more tightened up on a proposal. And what if we could tie a theme to Main Street where we'd be educating all these people to come here, what Roscoe is about to do, because let's go forward. It might be good to develop a little more of the content. I mean, not opposed to it.
Okay,
At
so,
this point, I don't know what dollar amount we have to come up with.
okay,
But I think
so,
if Brody agrees to it, I would definitely support it. It's gonna benefit Roscoe.
so in 2 weeks, maybe you'll have more information, but for budget purposes and conversation tonight in the public works, or excuse me, in the special events line item that's 32 will bump up to 42.
Or 34.
It was
The question, I guess, is when I have to reach it, I mean, there's 8,000 for other special events in there. which we usually use to sort of cover other things, but I
What's the
think maybe
total amount?
looking into that time, it would be 34.
What did we pull from special events to pay for this past year?
Trick or treat, fall festival, hometown holiday, national night out. When we're asking for, obviously, restaurant week and a public works week. Which is starting last year, public works week, and then we're asking for restaurant week this year. And we didn't spend all of it on those, and we won't. Hometown holidays at 10,000, that was sort of the biggest expense. We have so many external vendors coming through. And then trick or treats, 7,000. Like, I can add another 10,000 on there, so it would be 34 or 30 or 42, is that what we want to do? Then we'll have that wiggle room, and then obviously firm up. I think the public works budget and the police fire budgets, I think their sort of special event overtime is in theirs, but we can sort of move it across if you'd like to see that too, but. So we make sure that their budgets will account for it as well.
I thought we tapped into special events, pay for something else.
Moses, did say
Yes,
something
yeah.
about it.
Okay, well, it's been forgotten, it's fine. Okay, I'm going to other budget issues.
So I'm gonna move that to 42 then. I just wanna make sure.
So we have an extra 8 in another category, what you're saying.
Correct. Which can sort of help. cover that. That's one, yes, are there either, I mean, another item on here is we talked about a while ago, this budget cycle. It got a my request for, of a, be a community development person. The adding position in this building here for full-time community economic development. Coordinator, director, whatever you want to call it, from that. We previously spoke about that, but it would be somebody to be that additional person in here. Help coordinate the special events we have going on, help with economic developments and the zoning issues. Sort of being an additional full-time person at this.
What about
a
capital projects person? Following capital.
A separate
projects.
project person? I don't think we're quite at the point of.
You
having-
can't fold that into this job?
Well, it's the public works director is the capital projects person along with the engineer, so they would be doing the, I guess. We're really kind of big number of capital projects sort of coordinator. I think City of Rockford probably has one. I know many other cities that have them, probably big cities have
My
them.
knowledge, I don't think Rockland,
Yeah.
Beloit, anybody
No.
has a capital project.
Yeah, you would have a separate position for capital projects, but, the engineering firm obviously helps with those as well as public works director does capital projects. But yeah, this person will help with the zoning. Right now, we don't have a in-house zoning person, and it would help cut back some of the consultant costs we have too. We've got, right now we're outsourcing zoning as well as, which we used to have, I mean, here's the zoning person in-house. And we're outsourcing our, economic development, right? And that's, again, those are two sort of part-time positions, which are paid a big amount, you're paying consultant fees for those, you're paying a lot for those, so. Very common position, we've had for many years, we do not have them currently, so. We can sort of take some of that extra workload off me personally, and then as well as the having our consultants as well.
All of you have this in front of you. Yes. So, yes, the spreadsheet. And you'll notice with all of this that you got, you have here a list of revenue comes in at $8,776,031. And out of all of this, budgeted expenditures, $8,780,086. Okay, I'm going to this paper.
Are we leaving, or just making clear, we're leaving the discussion about community development?
No, we're not.
Okay.
No, we're not. It's going to be weighed against all of the other things here. What I would like is to have people establish priorities as to what it is they wish to spend the non-committed dollars on. And one of the things that you can spend the non-committed dollars on that are built into the budget is the economic developer. Now, that is against all of these other types of things. So it all becomes a trade-off here, or what you establish as priorities or what you see as needs. You've heard that we are short-staffed. We need someone to coordinate some of these things. People have great ideas. Let's do this. Let's do A, B, C, and D. But there isn't enough staff to do all of those things all of the time. We've grown, we've got lots of things going. So there is a real need here for additional hands on deck. So I don't wish you to, kick that to the curb and say, okay, that's an easy way to spend, to save some money. But give it a hard look. And we do realize that it is weighed against other important things. So what is a priority to you and how can we best allocate the limited resources that we have? In view of that, again, on that page, you'll see the total. That is for capital. The asterisks indicate that we have already committed to certain things.
Are you referring to this?
To this one.
Wait, that's.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that's fine. Okay. So you'll see what we have committed to and what the balance is. And it's your job then to establish priorities here and give some direction.
So the new person isn't in
It's
this?
in the, what you received last week. This is not this doesn't have the organizations on it. This is just has the overall categories. What you had last week.
What is this thing?
That is just all the budget, different way of looking at all the main
Expenditures.
top line expenditures.
Or your new person's not in here?
All the, oh, yes, it is. It's included as part of that, under that thing development.
What
Salary.
item number, Joe?
Um,
I didn't see.
It's what in the economic development category. They're planning something. Yes, and the
Purple
0019. If you go, thank you, Justin. If you go to page 10. You'll see the professional and technical consulting. That where?
It's actually planning remotes. It's the last page, sorry. It's page 10, right? Yeah, it's the top one. It's 4100. 01019 4100. The salary for each of the stats of the salary one. And then it's broken down and it's included, the benefits and everything else are included in the one you looked at last week. Yeah, so the salary full-time employees, 73,205 is and that number is based on if we started it in like April. So the proposal would be for the $80,000 budgeted number for the salary.
80,000?
Yeah, which was similar to what we had previously.
Not 73?
73 is for
Just
the,
the salary.
starting in April. If we were to start in April, so I wouldn't expect we to hire this person.
So it's really
So we-
80,000
It's
a year.
80,000 for the salaries.
And then with the benefit package, that probably bonds.
It's 108 total.
Yeah, okay, all right.
And the benefits are pulled out in your itemized version you have. And they're wrapped into the whole employee benefits portion.
And now the next thing, do we have a job description for this person?
Yes. We had one previously for, it's the same one that, it's really the same one we approved for Wilder previously. And he was that position, he was doing actually code enforcement, but this board created that planning, I think we called it the community development officer, I think we called it, or community development coordinator, I think. It'd be that same job description that we had from before. We just filled it with a part-time code enforcement person. We were used to using part-time at this point, because we don't necessarily have full-time need for the actual code portion of it. But I do believe we have a need for the community development portion.
Well, we'll still have code enforcement as well.
Yes, yeah, and still part-time.
Jeff.
Jeff would still be part-time code
We'll
enforcement.
get a
doing the
different
actual
job
reporting.
description.
His job description would be the same, his code enforcement.
You said you rolled.
So what Vic was doing was code enforcement only, but when he got hired in, we switched from our previous code enforcement officer, a different job description was created to bring him in at a higher salary. So it would just go back to that higher salary position that the board had. So you don't, it's a request, right? It's not we're demanding this.
Just trying to
Yep.
figure out
Yep.
everything.
So this is when we had before. So essentially we would have this full-time person and then a part-time. code enforcement officer.
What is the professional technical consultant?
And some of those can go down too, and that would be the big part. We have a little budget numbers, some of those can go down. That is for. It's for,
Place
available.
founder.
Well, I think, yeah, Place Foundry, that's the big number in Place Foundry, yeah. So that's that annual number we have for Place Foundry. So
You think it's
this
gonna go down by
person,
80,000?
but
You think it's gonna go down by 80,000 or more?
I think that's up to this board when they come back and decide what I think it will go down. I don't know if it'll go down by 80,000. I think it will go down by. I don't know, I consider.
Justin mentioned that at the last meeting.
It's like, we need $140,000 for that person in the economic development services.
That is what that's our
for-
Place Foundry right
Place
now.
Foundry,
Yeah,
That's what we pay.
that's what we're paying them right now currently, which is.
No other services, just them.
For their economic development consulting services, yeah. Now, I guess so,
Maybe.
what they're doing in their day-to-day, when they're doing, we're talking about Rockton Road.
Yeah.
Talking about the Main Street projects. That number does not include the design of the parking lot, design of Hodges Road, but it includes everything else. So those were separate contracts, so.
Right.
And that contract comes up, they'll be coming in with a proposal for additional services to adjust that. I think our year is up with them. Month or two. So Place Foundry will come in and we can talk about that scope, what you want to see for them, what you want to see them doing. Also been working on. There's really other things, right? They go into the R1, some of the development meetings we have about R1, they'd be doing just a lot of those other meetings that currently I'm going to every one of the meetings we have. It's doing some of those meetings, some of those. helping
Who's been going now?
Me, generally and Carol, and then I think Brandon goes started doing meetings, so we are constantly going, but.
So you said this person would do what. the
Also how-
developer does, So
Well-
they'll permits and stuff too. For
He
zoning
will
and
do,
whatnot?
he will do the sort of overseeing the community development portion, so yeah, he gets overseeing that department, yeah. We want him to do special events, do those, and then I also sort of oversee like, it'll be part of it too, like meetings, just generally, we meet with developers every day, right? So big meetings, of course, I would be there, Carol's at those meetings, but there's a lot of meetings that we're doing where it's just like everyday stuff, going through the approvals and permitting and.
Well, is
making
it, could
sure
this
those-
person essentially?
That person be
approve
doing those.
Driveways, fences, stuff like that, like they used to do. Didn't he used to do that?
No, that's
That's
Janelle
Yeah,
and
Janelle.
engineer.
Yeah, and our Janelle engineer and then currently Vanderwall as well. So this would pull back some of the Vanderwall expenses as well.
But I guess we could enlarge the description, perhaps just rhetorically speaking, when we roll out the 5013C for the Main Street Business Alliance, this individual could be utilized for recruiting people and helping us promote that and get it organized and, you know, those types of things, as well as, you know, meeting with various businesses around here. We've attempted to go in our scheduling, but we've never had a.
Mine's looking at one of those jobs, actually. Now that he's
We've never
retired.
had, we've never had a, let's say, a coherent plan by which we do that.
I
guess-
all this time, Mike.
Just for time's sake, could you send us what you have for a job description so we can read it over? We have to approve it anyway, and then we can decide whether or not we want this person.
Sure.
I feel like they have enough.
Since
Because I don't know what to work with.
Yeah.
Without seeing.
For me, it's having an extra person, just a physical extra person with some training in this field, in general is a big deal. So that is what we're looking for, really. Like it's a lot of things, but it's really, but it focuses on the community development portion. So it's on planning.
I just want to better.
Yep, absolutely.
It would probably be an employee, not another firm or.
No, you need to have someone in-house employee.
That's what raises it up to 108,000.
Because of all the benefits.
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
But you will lay out the job description. I would just note that
Could it be a contractor, not?
I would not want, we have a contractor currently, right? And then generally it's almost like doubles the actual cost to us, really. I know there's the benefits and long-term overall on that, but having someone here, you know, actual 8 hours a day, 5 days a week versus what you're paying a contractor for just their sort of very specific role. I think it ends up, I always think it ends up being maybe more cost effective if you have it in-house, but again, maybe we have support. I guess we'd be able to coordinate some of those contractors for some of the smaller projects, for the technical projects, but having someone.
But you said you already have a job description already.
Yeah,
So
yeah, all the things.
Can you send that out?
Yeah.
too?
It's something we approved previously, or you guys already approved previously, so.
Refresh our memories.
Yeah, no, absolutely, no, yes, definitely.
We approved it.
You approved it, but we
the
never
jobs.
really implemented it, I don't. So,
And is it coming out of this or is it coming out of the?
it's gonna come out of the,
It's built into.
it's
the
built into the
budget.
general. It's already in that general.
Is that all been ready to decide on?
No,
I don't know, anything else, I think, any questions about the operating, but those are the new things we had to talk about in the operating budget, any more questions about the operating budget itself?
I'd like to see us lower place standards. Services, so we get our, with our strategic plans in place and stuff. No, we need to keep them on. for
And so-
Main Street, still doing.
Yeah.
But.
And so they will come in and we'll have them present, they're gonna have to come in and present a new agreement, right? So we go with multiple agreements with them. That, I think both those are out, one's in March and one's in April. So we'll have them come in, talk to you guys about that, sort of see what you want to use them for and sort of make that
I
decision.
think we can cut that for now.
Are we bound by the contract we have with them right now?
Well, we are, but our contract expires in
I heard
March.
you say that.
Yeah, we have two contracts, March and then April. And then they've sort of completed, one contract they pretty much completed, it was getting that book, getting that sort of plan for Main Street, that's the complete portion. I think there was a couple more things they were finishing up on the other academic development one. So we've got those coming up. Any more questions about, I guess, about the general operating budget? It's just. All right. So, moving on to the more exciting part. Is you have part of that list that we've been looking at before. That is all those items on the capital plan that you've been looking at. That all those descriptions, all those detailed items, everything that's on that big packet. That she's got right there. That is all on this with numbers. So the top part where you've got those little asterisks by, I've got sort of broken down. I'll do sort of as we go here, I can adjust those numbers. Those are the numbers, those are the items that we pretty much are committed to. As we talked about tonight, Hodges Run can probably be adjusted a little bit. That's the full amount, planned budgeted amount. As we talked about tonight, this will probably be pushed out over until 2026, part of it. So we can, some of that will be lower down, so there's some money to work with there. Otherwise, we've got property purchases and acquisitions. That's, the village wants to purchase property. I know we've generally talked about, different properties. I think there's one on the horizon that we're looking at. But this is where that would come out of, those property purchases.
We need 300. 50.
That's the general one to cover sort of
Incidental
everything.
costs.
So
Sales and all of that stuff.
We can talk about it in
Okay.
private afterwards. Yeah, I'll remind everybody of that. That's good. We do have one we're looking at generally, is that 300,000, that's just there to cover anything we needs to be. And then we've got the Main Street Mart multi-use parking lot, that's the remainder, it's the unpaid portion of that contract. We paid like 120 something already. That's the remaining portion. I think there was there'll be a bill coming through next time that will knock that down, but it comes out of this fiscal year 2025 budget. And then obviously, Porter Park, get that going. That is the village's portion of the Porter Park.
I
That's
thought
a
it was
matching.
5 something.
600.
600.
We always say, I think we say 600 for the match from the,
591 is
from
what
the,
it's-
yeah, from the, state. But that's the budgeted portion that we submitted to them, is that stuff. So when we get back, we can sort of look at, I just run a minute here to get back. Next ones I've got on there are the X's, and those are the add up to the $809,000. That is the Class C patching program, right? $100,000 in Class C patching, probably something we want to do. So
Did we spend the
priority.
50 from, did we ever find, that's what I thought, we never found anybody to.
Right.
Know they were confident that we'll find somebody and spend 100.
So I think we talked about, the plan was this year is to budget at 100,000, and then actually, Troy and Brandon will go out prior to us figuring that out, and we'll actually figure a package out, a full package. Instead of just having, here's some money, when we have problems, come in and do them, we'll actually have sort of full package. What will you charge to do these pothole or these,
Come up with.
patches? Not potholes, or bigger than
The
potholes.
main difference is we're gonna have the location, most of the locations set before we go out for bid, as opposed to what we've historically done since this program started, which is have allocated money and then sign a contract, and then you decide to submit the locations and then the contractor completes. So this is actually a recommendation of one of the contractors who historically bid on that. They said that they could be more economical with their bids if they knew the locations prior to bidding, so why we're changing.
Well, them to actually, to sort of know what they're doing and know how much it's gonna cost to go.
Still probably gonna leave some contingency dollars for potholes that might come up later on in the year, but most of the contract will be preset.
Got that one on there. We've got residential street program. So this is the program that we presented previously. Brandon talked about 577,000.
The comment.
Sure.
Now, in years past, it was not unusual for us to skip a year of doing residential streets and bank the dollar amount. So if this is not spent this year, then whatever revenue, whatever dollars remain out of 2025 can be added to a more ambitious residential street program in 2026. Just an idea here.
These were for Hodges and Andrews
Correct.
apartment, that
Right.
whole
Around the library.
complex.
Correct.
Right. And again, not knowing how much more they would deteriorate in 1 year, that's a guess, but again, we have historically done that because we had very ambitious programs in the past, those dollars are no longer available to us. So it's just something to consider. And then the same thing with using the MFT dollars, when those accrue to a significant amount, you get economies of scale and you get someone to do a much larger project. And going on, Jerry.
Next we've got is I've got this in priority one, and obviously this can come out, we've talked about, it. I know we've asked about this many times, and I know we had generally in the budget last year, we pulled it out at the end, but I think with the amount of what we are doing right now, the amount of projects we're doing, the amount of development we're doing and changing we're doing here, updating that comprehensive land use plan
It's
is
very
huge,
important, yeah.
it is huge.
It is.
We see it every day, and that's what directs staff, right? So this is a project where, this is a process where we have public hearings. Like active public hearings, right? Get them in here. We have a planner who would lead this project. We would talk about, obviously roads development, where we want to see roads connected, we want to see bike paths, we want to see parks. And more, most importantly, probably, what uses, what type of land use do you want to see all throughout the village? Example is 251, right? We've got that Frigaldi property, I think we all know that property, 251 by American Lumber and Schnucks over there. That's been open. Okay, someone comes and proposes an idea to us. So one person says residential, here's a multifamily residential, one person says here's a commercial property, and another person can say this is an industrial property. What do we want to see there, right? That's a decision we should not be making at the time. That's a decision we should be looking ahead, saying, here's what this whole area should look like. Our current plan is from 2008. A lot has changed to the village in 2008. And even then, it wasn't the most, I think.
NIU helped us.
Yeah, and
That.
it wasn't the most robust plan.
Forever.
Huh?
It took forever.
But so,
But it's very outdated.
and it's outdated, yeah. So this would be a big part about bringing in, the public, bring in the planners, bring in everybody, have these discussions. You would make those decisions, but this is how the board would direct us, staff, everybody, the public, direct developers coming in, right? We get inquiries all the time about, what properties do you have available that you're looking to have multifamily or residential or commercial, really, at some of them. Besides us just looking at what we've got currently as our plan and sort of talking with our planners and trying to figure those out, this guides us, right? This is what says, here's what we want to see the village develop as. That's like 10
Who
years.
would facilitate?
We get proposals. I really like Vanderwall, their quality of work. If you want to look up Vanderwall's comprehensive plans, they're doing one for Beloit right now. They just finished up, but they do them all over the state here too. All around here, actually. I think they did Brockton's recently. But if you look at, just type in, Vanderwall Associates, comprehensive land use plan, or just comprehensive land use plan in Illinois in general, you can sort of see what we're talking about and what goes into this type of plan. So, and it will help also with our grant writing, right? I mean, this is what we've been talking about all the way along here. I pointed to Brandon over there, but Brandon's, we constantly have R1, it's our metropolitan planning organization. They're always asking us, what are your priorities? What are your projects? What areas do you want to prioritize? And that doesn't just mean, what road you want to build. It also means what bike path you want to hook into. Do we prioritize, going across the bridge over here, hooking into that way, over, going north or going, west or east, I guess. That's what they're asking us for. This is what tells them that. This is what we can say, yep, the village does prioritize. Let's look here. We have it in writing, approved by the board and, thought out and approved by the public. So I feel like I'm getting very excited about this, but I am, because we're at the point right now where we really do need to do this.
Without going too deep.
Yeah.
The difference between development, comprehensive land use plan, strategic plan, and then I heard capital.
So strategic plan is on the low end here, but I think it's important to do. The strategic plan is what the village board would set as, here's the reasons why we're doing things. Here's what we sort of prioritize as the reasoning, right? We're looking to prioritize development. We're looking to prioritize, public engagement or whatever. It's the reasoning for it. It's a project, it gets you guys on the same page, sort of in a small term, gets you on the same page of what when you look at something, proposals come through, what are you guys basing it on? Do you want more houses? Do you want just any houses? Do you want any commercial? Do you want very specific stuff? But it's the why, right? And that's being, I think it's important, but not necessarily, it can come later on. It's the comprehensive land use plan is the what.
And then
It's
the
the
capital
big
plan.
The capital improvement plan is the what, where that looks at what physical infrastructure we actually have and what needs to be built out when. So that looks at sort of what we currently have in place. That looks and says, we've got roads, this road needs to be built out more than this road. You know, if we're working with water projects with North Park, here's what we need to get money put aside to actually build this out. And so that's gonna be about a 5-year, you know, 5 years. So yeah, you think we heard that presentations.
Yep.
That's about 5 years out,
That's what I
right?
was asking, just.
And that's what sets this budget. So we work, regardless if we do a formal one, we'll be starting a capital projects in maybe March. We'll get into that cycle and start getting.
I've got two old
Oh, the cap of the,
strategic plans.
oh, yeah. So yes, that's what those are.
Just tell me if this is kind of where we're going with all this stuff. Let's suppose, we've all talked about how we want to drive traffic downtown. We want to create a certain ambiance on Main Street. So if your strategic plan is to increase traffic downtown, to increase residential dwellings downtown, that's what you've established as part of your strategic plan. So how do you go about accomplishing that? Part of that might be, okay, you look at the infrastructure. How can we make the entrance to downtown more gracious or just simply a less than bumpy ride? You have before you, for example, 2 ways in which we can attack Main Street between the Y and Bridge Street. You can do it the expensive way at over $1 million, or you can call it a residential street improvement plan for $500,000 or $600,000. So your strategic plan is we want to increase people to come downtown. To get them to come downtown, we need a smoother road. So the smoother road that we need, and it also needs rebuilding, is between the Y and Bridge Street. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that. So our plan.
To help prioritize.
And so it gets you to where you want to go.
Is that more important than a capital
No.
plan?
Well, the capital plan we're doing no matter what. We absolutely are doing capital
Is that
plan.
already in the,
That's gonna be with our engineering firm, no matter, regardless if it's gonna be small, and maybe it's a, and we'll have to talk about that with their grammar,
The capital
whoever,
plan is 5 years.
how we're gonna
Right.
do it.
I
Yeah,
remember them saying it was like
Yeah.
30 or 35.
There's extra cost associated with it.
Yes.
for those, yeah, it's part of our engineering, yeah, it's part of our engineering costs, we have built
You have
in
it
for the
built into
consulting,
yours.
into the consulting.
You have it built into this or?
Correct, yeah, it's not really an extra thing,
Not
it's something that
extra
we're gonna be, we always have to have. The
Right.
first year is gonna be more expensive, the next years it'll be much less expensive, but we always have to have that capital plan sort of in place and going.
So you already have those costs built.
That cost is in there, yeah.
Operation.
Yeah, the
Okay.
comprehensive plan is something that it's a sort of a set finite project. We go out for RFPs, you see what firm you like, see sort of projects, we have them give you some examples, we meet the firms. Vanderbilt is just one of them, there's many planning firms. And then we hire them and there's a start date, there's a finish date to that project, they give you the timeline for it, they post the public hearings, they post those, they have your workshops, they meet with you, so. That's why it's in this part of the budget, is because it's a finite thing and we haven't done it in the past. But we really should get it up and going, because this will help drive all of this discussion in the future. So that's one I've got is marked as X, so it's included in that designated.
I think in the past, you kind of indirectly did it. You decided you didn't want an auto repair shop on Main Street, for example, or additional,
Okay.
gaming establishments next to the church or across the street. This would codify it.
I mean, yeah. And then the next two I have is sort of what I've considered as like designated sort of built-in, what we probably want to spend, just because of the discussions the boards has had, is new logo for the village. As well as, that's new logo for the village. So I think that's something we've talked about. We've got that in there. We've got proposals. It may not be 10,000, but I think that's probably a good number to have plugged in. We've got various proposals from different companies. We've just getting ideas for budget purposes. I think that's probably a decent number. And then sort of the next one is, it's separate on here because it is a capital type purchase. It's 12,000, but it's just the upgrading the Laserfish system, get that to a current system. Our current one is fairly old at this point. This would be the newer version of that, and this would allow us to get our documents back into order. And that's just part of the governmental function, right? We have to do that. Well, we don't have to use, upgrade. We can use the one we've got right now. This would make it a little more flexible for us, and I think it would solve some of the issues we're having with some of the tracking. And then we could also work on the website, so the public again could get the documents, use all the documents, get that. And so that proposal, I think is all in your packet with what that includes. There is an ongoing cost with that, which there is currently an ongoing cost that we're paying every year for our Laserfish license. This is just essentially covers that first year license as well as the big part, which is the upgrade, so. So those ones I would say, we would say those, that group right there is what's in that first part, there.
So, before we move past the
Yeah.
village logo, is there any way we could like put it out to the public to just get freelancers to design it?
Yeah.
Wins the competition essentially. Yes, I mean, the state of Illinois is doing that right now.
Make it flag, yeah.
And they got thousands, I mean, we're not the state of Illinois, but they got thousands of applicants. And they narrowed it down to like 25.
I've already voted.
Now it's for everyone to vote.
Yeah.
Our new state flag's gonna be.
I think
But-
having some money in there, if you want to drop that down, that's fine too.
I think
This was based
10,000
on,
but to spend it.
sure, we can
Personally.
bump it back, I'm quite happy to do that.
Bump it back
I
to
think
what?
let's keep it at 5, and
I
we
would say-
don't
I
have
would
to
say
spend this,
5.
right? So all we're doing here is the appropriation. So this is the sort of the cap, the maximum we can spend on any item. It's not necessarily, it's close to what the budget is, but it's more like the capping process of it, so. But yeah, 5, we can.
Well, maybe
move it
we
down
can
to
do some
5.
sort of award or something for whoever win competition. We get it for super cheap.
Yeah.
Promote it within the 2 high schools in the
I'm
village.
sure we have plenty of time.
Yeah.
So,
Going on to those things that are not marked as either a star or an X. The pavilion at Riverside Park, all of you have noted, and we got the structural engineer's summary that it should be taken down and redone, just simply because of all of the failures there. So here you see before you in a pretty informed estimate of what it would cost to redo that.
Thanks from Brandon, right? I mean, you guys, it's just from your.
Yeah, it's a placeholder number that we do for when we apply for like OSLAD grants. It's a basic pavilion structure. We don't have an exact dollar amount because really until the grants are awarded and the community decides what specific type of pavilion they want, we don't have an exact dollar amount, but we think that that's probably a high end cap that we can set and still feel comfortable.
And
Is that the first one when you pull into the park?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this like a big shelter house?
Yeah.
Yep, just, posts, rough, no walls. I mean, that's important because that park is in the floodway. So you can't really put anything, you can't elevate or fill to place a structure on top of. You can't have walls that are going to affect floodwaters. So yeah, this is a basic, very basic structure.
And in
Seems
communication, well, right, but it may not. be
Everything's
expensive.
Everything is concrete, has never gone down in price
I mean,
over the years.
Like we looked at, we looked at a example of one like we have at like Leland Park, right? That one, we looked for us, but we were talking to the consultants about those. I think that was like $400,000 or something, like, they're not.
No walls, no brick, no.
They're not.
I mean, it's
just that, I believe that cost accounts for new concrete
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's.
I am happy, but
Do we
Yeah.
need a new slab, or is it just this wooden structure that's been?
I think it's just.
I believe it's just the structure, but depending on where, your posts are going to be with a new pavilion, and then what that concrete, honestly, the condition is like from the time that we're ready to construct one. It's better to have the money in place just in case we need to replace.
And the other possibility is because this is utilized so much by the junior tackle. I can engage in a conversation with Brian Lapeer, the president, to see that they're really good at fundraising. To see what they might be able to contribute, just as they did with the, concrete around the concession area and the lighting and all of that kind of thing. Because they primarily use it. But for
And so,
your,
yeah.
for your consideration now, it is if, it's highly visible, it's used, you want the park to appear well, give it due consideration. And we can be cautiously optimistic that it wouldn't
Yeah.
cost this amount.
Once we have got donations too, and I
Right.
think we had, we have a local person, Justin Martin, he has
Right.
talked to us about that. And this is why we actually went, that's why this number's here and not, almost free, because
Don't have to book it.
he came out there to look at that, we were gonna get donations for the roofing for it, and he's like, yeah, I'm a little concerned about the structure of this, and so we had the engineer come out with that. And they're like, yeah, it's not gonna work, so.
It says,
Yeah, the small one, you mentioned that it was the big one you walk in, there's a small one in the back by the
Right.
river. That one is also in the budget currently, but that's in the, we just have it in the operation maintenance budget for the parks. That one we plan on doing in the spring as well. That one we do have donated labor and work from Justin Martin. It's just the roofing materials for that one that we're paying for. But this is the big one, and this is probably obviously the most used one that was there, that's used by the football teams.
you say dates to the 1960s or something.
Yeah, so that's why that one's there, if you wanna lower it, I guess you can, but I mean, it's not what we're going to spend on it, this is sort of the cap.
Right now, it's a safety issue though, right?
It's,
I would stand under there.
I would say it's getting there. I'm gonna say it's a safety issue, it's going to stay up in the immediate future, we know that for sure, because we got that report back. But yes, it needs to replace sometime in the next couple of years here, otherwise it will.
5-year plan.
No, I don't
It's
think
got no roof, I mean, to
it's-
put a new roof, it has holes on the roof, so either needs to be knocked down or we need to fix it.
Well, that's, I guess that's what I mean, if it's in that bad
Yeah.
shape, we should probably. Yeah, public works.
Yeah.
Rip it down.
Yeah. We can probably do that this winter here, yeah. So,
Let it keep going. It's
Yeah.
harder.
yep, yeah, I mean, it's got holes in the roof and you can't put a new roof on it. We could, but then it would last a couple of years, they said, so year. So that one's on there, so I'm gonna add that one in. Then we've got, this is one we mentioned before, I've got this line sort of earlier on here, this is another one that we talked about last week, it's Linden Park. Sort of resealing, repainting, so making a decision what we're gonna do with that. I think Troy talked about it a little bit last time. It's getting the point of usability, right? I mean, it's in the point of is it something that you can use safely over this next summer season as is? And the answer is no, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we're on the line. Yeah,
I'd like to see how it's gonna look after this winter with the freezing thaws. This is gonna make the cracks bigger.
so this is one that we talked about at one point, we can put this on the 5-year plan for redoing it, pulling out, redoing the whole works. I think this is to keep it, keep it at least usable for the summer. And make it, this is the estimate to keep it sort of on there. And this is just for this sort of resealing and repainting, I think we can do both of those.
What, Brandon, do you know how much it would cost to replace it?
I do not off the top of my head. At the next meeting, if you want me to, I can talk with our landscape architecture team.
Yeah, like, this person spent 15,000 and then 2 years, spent 30 to do the whole thing.
I think when your company did the ones at Auburn High School years ago, they were in 6 figures.
I think 6 figures is definitely not out of the question, but I don't know right off the top of my head, but I do know where we recently did some work for the Rockford Public School District, where they did, I believe they're doing some new courts, so I'll talk with our team that we're working on those projects and I can get you a number.
The other thing though, to be aware of, in my opinion here. This area is used all the time by the carny rides,
Yes.
a fall festival. Do you want to spend 100,000, 200,000 on a pad for carny rides?
Do you remember when we had this discussion years ago? Dennis Soul was on the board.
When we put in a new basketball court.
Yeah.
So
And they don't always put the rides right on the tennis court. They usually try to keep them off.
So you make
court.
Right.
They do a pretty good job, but it is used
No.
heavily by the citizens.
Right.
And that's what we decided then.
However, this repair of stuff has come up every 3-4 years. And there has to be a decision about, you put Band-Aids on it or do it right. And if you're going to do it right, then you have to figure out where it's going to be and how it's going to be utilized.
And it's just be a part of the capital plan two discussions, right? I mean, it's, here's 50,000 for this, we decide, that, it could be, when we get to the, actually doing a capital, or plan, in a couple months here. Maybe it is, you know what, we're not gonna do it this year, it's not worth doing it, we'll either just block it off, or we'll pull it, and we'll do it next
I
year,
remember
and-
also the discussion being people could use Kenny Connect playgrounds or their basketball court.
Those are basketballs.
I think it was wasn't it basketball was the issue, like,
Yeah.
at one point we were
The
talking.
tennis is different.
Yeah,
Basketball isn't that old.
Yeah.
Tennis courts or tennis court is,
Is, oh,
yeah.
Is old.
It's gotta be up there. But it's pushing 50 years old or more.
How do we ascertain how often it's used for basketball or tennis? Do we have a way?
I know the tennis courts use a lot from our parks mowing crew. That, well, not just tennis, but actually the pickleball. Because we have the pickleball court painted on there also. And I know sometimes they have to like redo their mowing schedules to go around with there's a group that always goes out there and plays pickleball. They also play bags and stuff like that.
I know almost every night at summer I walk by it and there's people playing tennis or there's kids over on the basketball, especially if there's a baseball game going on. So it's used heavily.
and there's a light, is there not? Yeah, I mean, I remember that discussion too, back in the day.
If we go on to Main Street resurfacing projects.
So that's, we sort of talked about that before previously too. We got two options, I have option A, option B. We don't do any of these options, but this is, this would be if we were going to, we kind of talked about before. One's just the resurfacing, smoothing out, the proposal is, I think, it's like a mat that goes under there to sort of.
Yeah, so
hold the cracks
it's
that are-
removing 4 inches of pavement, putting a crack control fabric down, and then just repaving with 4 inches of asphalt. So, just want to caution you that it's a Band-Aid repair. The concrete base underneath Main Street, those are all the cracks that you see, every 10 to 15 feet. That concrete is heaving. It needs to be reconstructed, but it's not something that can't be, a Band-Aid can be put on it for now until the village, decides is that a priority for Main Street.
Lasting, what, 5 years, 7 years?
So traditionally, when you repave a road, you'll see cracking in the anywhere from 3 to 7 years, depending on the amount of use. There with a crack control fabric, most crack control fabrics state that they can extend the life of the pavement without cracks anywhere again from the 3 to 7 year range. So you're probably looking at somewhere in the 5 to 10 range until you start seeing the cracking again. But the pavement's not going to get worse than what it is right now in 10 years by any means. It could just be back to, that condition.
And then what you have in there, the estimate for the full reconstruction, that also includes bringing it to
Urban
standard.
Correct. Yep, that is a full reconstruction, curb and gutter, storm sewer, and then tying into the existing ditch section.
Option B.
That, yeah, 1 point.
However, that didn't go the whole distance, correct?
Correct. That would only go to rural edge drive, and the reason being is because the way that the drainage is set up and where you have to construct your storm sewer. The box culvert that goes underneath Main Street at rural edge drive is really the logistical stopping point.
So
It's
you're
right
going
after
to,
the Y or right before the Y.
So
Right.
the southern Y entrance to rural edge.
and you're going to get people wondering, why did you do only one half of the road? And so to do the whole length, it's the drainage issue. And again, it goes back to what was set in stone by previous administrations, that there would be the full urban standard from McDonald all the way to Elevator and bearing the utilities and all that kind of stuff, and everything costing tens of, 10 million, then it went up to $14 million. So now the question is, do you wish to do from the Y to the intersection at Bridge and Main? And there is a residential area that could be part of your residential street program. And it does provide a better entrance to downtown. Plus, it gets rid of a nuisance that people complain about all the time. If you drive it, you know how bad that is. And that can be done for this estimated, let's call it $550,000, and it gets you from 5 to 10 years on it. So you get some, everything, as I said, is a kind of a trade-off, where you want to go, what you want to do here.
Since we're on roads, real quick, can I go back up? There were two places for the 577,000. If you had to pick Andrews or Hodges, which would you pick? What I'm trying to do here is I'm just trying to rob from Peter to pay Paul. I'm trying to see if we can.
So the,
Can I just speak real quick to that? I would say to, like, to Carol's point, we don't have to do residential streets next year. If we could take that, I'd rather see that money if we're really trying to put money in Main Street. Roll it over next year, do Main Street, but the way I would do Main Street is our new rule standard with concrete edge treatment. And I would go from McDonald to Grove. I wouldn't go to the intersection because I feel like the intersection is where downtown starts. And I'd say Grove Street because we do maybe way down in the future have opportunity to possibly have retail establishments from Grove to Bridge Street as well. I think there's development opportunity eventually with a few of the houses on that corner or other properties.
Was it the drainage issue that I thought you do that? Wasn't that?
so he's talking about the new rural standard, which is essentially, it's a gutter on the side of the road, but it doesn't really collect water. It's like what we have been doing around the
Yes.
corners in our
Yes.
residential streets. It doesn't really, it's essentially you're going from a gravel shoulder to a concrete shoulder, and it's more aesthetically pleasing. It does provide a little bit of structural support, but it's costly. We have talked with contractors, and a flat curb like that compared to a regular full curb and gutter, there's really not that much cost difference. So, I mean, if you're talking about doing a full, well, and realistically, you would probably want to do a full reconstruction at that point. If you're already going down, 8 inches for the concrete, there's significant costs to that. I mean, I would not doubt that project would eclipse $1 million.
With the urban standard you have here, whatever, does that include sidewalk or is that just?
That is, I believe ADA ramp upgrades at along the bike path. At each intersection, and then I believe it's at establishing an actual bike path from where I don't know if you know where it currently stops. Is it Royal Edge where it stops currently and then goes to on street? It becomes an on-street bike path. This would delineate that, and we would have a dedicated bike path with separation from the roadway.
That's cool. We definitely need that.
Would we have to rip out the bike path? Because you're putting in a curb, wouldn't we have to raise the bike path up then? Because right now it's at grade.
Right now it is at grade, yes. We are proposing profile changes to the roadway. So I don't know what it is in that exact section, but there are certain areas of this roadway where I believe we're gonna have to either raise or drop the roadway by over a foot to get proper drainage. So, I mean, there's significant impacts to a project like that, yeah.
With the $550,000 option, was there not some plan also to do things with the bike path? I know.
I don't know off the top of my head.
But it could be.
It absolutely, I mean, ADA ramp upgrades are, and if we're using MFT funds, I don't know what we're really deciding for the pot of money. We're utilizing MFT funds for a project, we would have to upgrade the ramps adjacent to the road. That's IDOT policy. If we're using our local dollars, we do not have to, but it's strongly encouraged. As part of an ADA transition plan, we're supposed to be actively upgrading those ramps.
And how much of, if we were to do nothing with Main Street this year and bank our MFT dollars this year and next year and apply it all. I know we run the risk of prices going even further, but it gives us the latitude to do different. However, the number of feet that we could do, we're still stuck with stopping at Rural Edge because of the way the drainage goes.
So yeah, I believe the next real logistic stopping point for the drainage standpoint is the bridge here. So yeah, going to the intersection at Bridge and Main doesn't really, at least for a full, urban standard, that's not really we wouldn't recommend that.
So we're looking at perhaps dividing this road into 3 sections as we had always talked about, but having a different little bit of a standard for what is right in front of us from Bridge Street, let's say, to the other, to
Williams.
the firehouse, let's say, where it would be the gracious full urban standard, and then the approach at both the north end and the south end as something still nice looking, but not as costly and more doable and doable in the near future.
That's why I was getting to just the concrete edge treatment, because if you go gravel straight into curb and gutter, then back to gravel, it's
Yeah,
gonna look terrible. One, two, it's heavy truck traffic too, still. Labeled as roads like that, so. But I think the structure portion of it with concrete will help it hold up over time as well. I don't think we need to do full curb and gutter to your point, but. It's from an aesthetic and structural point.
But I guess the central question is trade-off. Which roads do you want to do? Do you want to do part of Main Street and then we figure out how we can do it? The bucks, the dollars that we have? Or a Hodges Run area? So which of those two is a priority? Or either, and you bank dollars and have a grander plan for 2026, once you get the capital improvement plan in place, it's a tough call.
I think, every road in the village is a priority. They're all terrible. So, right now, I would just say to bank both. If we have more money to do more next year.
I say, well, I think something, just note this though, is the numbers I have up here, that is not MFT projects, right?
Right.
So this is only talking about,
Local funds.
we're only using local funds on this right now, to make sure everybody's clear of that. I mean, there are MFT funds,
Right.
but let's realize it's not something, well, we have MFT funds we can use on it, but generally we've got some big projects we probably use MFT funds on. Well, explain just sort of, I don't know if we all know
I know
what we
it's-
usually
we
use
have
those
that
on.
state.
Well, I guess even the projects we typically use MFT projects.
Yeah, so we typically don't use them on residential roads. In the years past, what the village has decided is actually the frontage roads. So I believe that dates back to 2016, when the frontage road from Swanson to McDonald was reconstructed essentially. And then a couple of years, and it was an every other year process that was selected. 2018, I believe, was the frontage road from, Elevator to McCurry. And then 2 years following in 2020 was from McCurry north to the end of it by the.
And we do, I mean, I guess that's something to think about too, we probably do not want to just spend these funds, because we have some big roads coming up, we're going to.
I mean, we have, Main Street,
Yeah.
Love Road, Willowbrook are all projects that we, in theory, we should be. Those are economic development driven projects.
Yeah,
We have roads over by the industrial park, by the Public Works Department. That are pretty much,
Yeah.
I mean, those are failing at the same rate as the residential, if not faster, because of all the heavy truck traffic.
MST has to be done by state standards, right? So it
Yes.
usually drives your product.
Correct, and so what we've traditionally done, it's a process called full depth reclamation, where you actually grind up the roadway and then overlay it with a new asphalt that typically has anywhere from a 15 to 25-year lifespan. So it's essentially a reconstruction, but all of those roads are not an urban standard. They just have ditches on the side, so it's very easy process, and it's a very cost-effective solution as opposed to full urban conversions.
Just getting back to what I was saying, but the reason I would lay it over is because I feel like our capital improvement and comprehensive land use plan, at this point, just so we can really strategize on what the plan and future is of Roscoe, instead of just throwing money at the dartboard like we typically do.
And I would agree, part of those would also take a look at resources and revenue sources and try to figure out how you can grow revenue in order to accomplish these ambitious plans.
But I'm good either way, I like building roads, but I think our plan.
Next year, we'll more breathing room next year too. I don't know, I mean, it's sort of like imagine what, going off what Mike was saying a second ago. So, back to, we're gonna try to pull money across. So right now, for this group, we're at that. This is where we're under, is that we're over at full budget by 441,000. But I think, when we were talking about, pulling money across, it's this. That incubators project, right? And that's that 1.5, that is the full project. We know we're not gonna do that full project at this point, all the way completely full project, because we know we've got timing, we know the schools are gonna be donating some labor to it, donating material or some of the building to it. So I mean, I think, bringing that down to something, I don't know, bring it down, to $1 million, do I bring it down to 800,000 for this year and just make sure we're in that? We've got several phases in that project, right? We've got the park at the back. We've got the park, we're talking about phasing on it, but we've got the parking lot portion of it. We've got the sort of main incubator space along with like the little patio courtyard area. And then we've got the park on it. So at least 3 phases, we can sort of split that into it. Definitely want to probably get that first part done this year, get the concrete pads poured, whether it's, all at once or sometime this year. Get that, general mass grading and or even the grading done for that project in the front. And then there's that park in the back. That's, I think $300,000 is what the estimate is, right? We can always bring that number down. We can talk about those as we go through the design process of it. But for the budget purposes, we can pull money back from that number. That's the full number based on if we were gonna do that whole project this year, which, especially after today's meeting. And the fact that the school is able to work with us still next year, which they weren't originally able to do that. They originally had a project scheduled already for next semester. That sort of moved, that timeline has moved for them. So now they are able to work like a full semester with us. That's what Mike was talking about there. That's why that's changed. So we actually are able to work with them where they can work fully, all semester with us. So yeah, I mean, we'll bring that to 800 to $1 million.
We have an idea what it takes to keep the school going, put in the concrete pads. And we really should fence it for the neighbors there so that we
In
can.
the back.
Yes,
Well, just,
so those 3 things, what would it take to do those things?
I'd like to know this though. I don't think it's quite so easy to divide it into 3 sections. You need site preparation of the entire site. You cannot so easily say, okay, we're only going to prepare the site on the northeast end and ignore the rest and do the rest next year. You have your economies of scale and you have to prepare the whole site.
Also, generalizing, but
Technically,
that
no,
is this, I mean, to join everything is putting together in a split for those 3.
Right,
things. But
but-
yes, there are some things that overlap.
But
correct.
yes,
Yeah.
but what can be clearly separated is not buying any, not enhancing the playground, thing,
Yeah.
buying the playground equipment or doing the finished plantings and all of that kind of stuff. But I would agree with you, the berm that was going to go at the back, that would separate that, would have to go in so that you have a nice tidy looking development so that people don't complain that, hey, you started this and when you go to finish it, it looks like a mess.
Especially if
for
it's
the
gonna
next
take
several years.
multi-year project now, so.
Well, 2 years, it's not going to be 3 or 5. But, so we have to figure out what the segments are and what the realistic ways in which it is that you can break those things up. So just picking a number, okay, pick a number, but.
I mean, I think we can go down to $1 million easy,
I think-
but after 350,000, you can chop off a park till.
And I can get for the next. the
What
meeting,
about
I
the
get
parking lots?
Specifics, that's one of the phases that Joe was talking about, and I can get that estimate from him, how we break it down. We have the numbers of what all these parts cost together.
Yes,
So we can get for next time, we can get and sort of pull that. into a
Dr.
number.
Rennie at Russell Chiropractic is particularly interested.
Sure. Yeah. But that would be study part of the thing, so, just for this. And we'll get a harder burn around that.
This is something that's not open for 2 years.
No, it will
We
open.
can open it this fall if we spend $1.56 million on it. That's what that number is. I mean, we can do
Well, we
that.
wouldn't have the 15
But
structures.
we wouldn't have the school build a 15 structure. This is based on bidding out the whole project, that's what that number is based on. So,
Is the $1 million realistic? Why don't you just take the park off of it? You can look at the park next year or we.
yeah, I'd say I'm putting this for just today's, but I will get a more
Yeah,
divided
more detail,
out
I guess.
number. I will get you, we have those numbers. It's just we have to add them through. Taking into account the
I like that.
donations as well. That is what that is. So then,
So our
I will get you
multi-use parking lot, do we need to do the structure over it still?
so what we do parking lot is contracted. So that number, you need to pay that number.
So they
That's-
have to.
Yep, that's all contracted. So now we're on to, we're not gonna resurfacing. So we're at, I mean, we're still within our budget here, so you can look at some of these other items here, but, and
What was
these
it,
are,
what was the decision on A and B?
I think, my understanding is we're gonna hold off this year and bank some of that MFT money, right? Is that the,
That's what I thought I heard.
That's what I suggested is to focus on our improvement plan.
To me, I think that's a good idea as well, because maybe I stepped out that way, but you think about it, really. You can always get off at the Y and go that direction, but there's really not any reason because you get the main intersection coming up with the stoplight. We might be better off to just put a nice sign there at the stoplight and say, hey, turn right to go to Old Town, Main Street. But I think really, right now, there's nothing from that Y to the Bridge Street that
that's
we're
commercial.
spending focus on right now. It's not even in David Sidney's plan. It's all Main Street from Bridge Street north, so.
It'd be a residential program.
I think
essentially.
you put that off like Justin's saying, and then we focus on some of the things
Yeah.
we can get done with the park
Yeah.
and Hodges
And I
Run.
think
where-
capital improvement. plan.
Yeah, make those done, and
Yeah.
none of those two items aren't even, you're gonna get there from a different direction instead of getting off of the Y exit, I think so.
Yeah, I think.
Not that it wouldn't
It would
be
kind of
nice to
help.
have, it's just like,
Is there gonna be any impact to that road if they begin building,
No, because you're on the.
it's on the log cabin area?
No, it shouldn't be. I mean, it should be, it's not gonna be that many houses there.
That the possible development in the log cabin area?
That shouldn't be any more or less people. We've got somebody, we've been looking through, we've got a developer looking to build, he's looking to pull permits and go through zoning on, a property where that log cabins are all over there. On Grove Street.
I
right
thought
next
they
to
were
Grove
gonna be
Street.
torn down.
Yeah, somebody, they're negotiating with the owners right now to do that, and then possibly build.
I don't know if that was gonna bring in a lot of construction traffic or not.
It's just, it's one kind of like, all the way we got, yeah. Let's see, we've got, yeah, no, that shouldn't be too much for that. And then, so now we're moving on to some of the smaller items here, which are just some of these yes or no's, I guess, but zero tone mowers, if we had a project plan, we could get these onto it and we still we can split it, but Troy, I mean, I sort of try to prioritize these based on, staff discussions we've had, but your mowers, we need mowers this year.
Two that we have now got kind of abused this year because we had our 160-foot mower go down. They got used a lot more. That's one of the things that's nice. Or maybe just go to one of them. We can replace the older one of the two. Maybe push it off to next year. I can make anything work. If one goes down, those take longer to get everything mowed.
I'd say yes.
For what?
Both or one?
This.
We have a lot of parks right now, for mowing too, especially if we're gonna be using. So any comments on that one? Good.
I would go for the mowers, get them.
That's,
All these,
This one's coming this year, next year. I mean, new tables and chairs at Porter Cabin. That was one of the things where we've got those, and you've all seen them that are down there. It'd be essentially getting those and making them where they can be sort of more stored a little more compactly. And then they're also just sort of old, but, that's a extremely used cabin. It's rented every week. It's probably rented right now all year, actually, really. It's rented all year round, very well used. I think that would help, but
Have you already investigated what you would like to buy?
I think we looked at some, Troy, we looked at, I think we pulled that number, but we had, there was somewhere in the, did you have pictures actually? Yeah. Give me pictures in the,
So I was just looking at Uline, this.
Yeah.
Nice chairs.
Yeah, that's stackable. Yeah. I don't, yeah. I really have-
Just wondered.
Yeah, that's not necessarily a
Just
requirement.
replacing the quantity, same quantities for same amount of tables, same amount of chairs, or is it increasing?
No, it's the same amount. To go along with the fire marshal's code of how many people can be in there.
Okay.
And a couple extra for setting up food, table, along the wall.
I can't remember, are the old ones the lighter ones, or are they still the old heavy?
No, they're the lighter plastic.
They're the lighter plastic ones?
Yeah.
I thought we had changed them out at some point.
They're pretty beat up.
And then the chairs with that.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
Like, if they were wooden, we definitely want to get rid of them, because those things weigh a ton.
But yeah, definitely, the chairs I think they're just definitely folding chairs. I mean, they're, I like them compressed more, or, not compressed more, but a little more stackable and storable too.
You know, the one price in there, they sell, it's almost like a double thing that you can fit, two chairs, like the stackable, like there's on top and then on the bottom and on the back side, you can stack some tables on that also. Kind of make it more.
I'm talking 6,000 here, so I suppose it should be a quick yes or no, I guess.
I'm good.
Yes or no's, yeah.
I'm fine.
I'm good.
All right, good. I spent a lot of time on that one, I guess, but, next couple we've got on here, we got Public Works, got training room, lunchroom update, and then, the, additional salt shed update. I guess, and Troy can address the training room if you like, but I guess for the training room, I think it's important to get that updated where they can we're doing a lot more training online, a lot more training video wise, just because that's the way everything sort of went during COVID and sort of still is. So this would allow them to get that room a little more set up or to do some of the more trainings online and even bring people in and use it as more of a presentation area for them to do some trainings down there. I'll let you address it, but that's why I got it higher. That's why we've got it higher in the priority list than just, oh, it's a break room for the employees. It's more the training part of it. It's getting that set up where they can use it more.
Yeah, better desks that can hold hopefully the two new computers we get, and the chairs were the hand-me-downs that I think here they're like double hand-me-downs. I have a picture of those in there where the pleathers will stick to like your
Yes.
head or something
Yeah.
when you get up.
They're well used. That's also you do your briefings and you obviously eat down there too. So that's what I've got there on there. So I think that would be good to.
I'm okay
Yes.
with it, but I'd like to see it at 4,000. I did some research and I think you can do it for a lot less than 8.
I was okay at the 8, so I guess it just depends on what all equipment are you looking for? What takes it to the 8 that Justin may or may not have seen?
When I see stacking chairs, I mean, you can buy a 10-pack of them for $500. I don't know what types of.
Maybe more than.
They're kind of like,
Yeah, these are not gonna be like, they're not folding chairs. I mean, these have to be ones where because they're using them regularly. It's not just gonna be folding chairs, I think. Is that what the
How
question
regular
is?
in this lunchroom that we need to be buying rolling chairs for?
our morning meeting, lunchtime, and the end of the day.
I mean, they're just big commercial chairs.
Yeah, I would go
guess we're
with
saying difference
8,000.
between.
No, these
commercial
guys
chairs.
need to have some environment. This next one, Troy, what do we do with this 82,000? I mean, if we don't have that for the salt.
That one you mentioned we could push.
That's one, yeah, we could push off.
Yeah, if we're gonna push that off, then we go with the lunchroom update. That seems like a good bargain, 8,000 versus 82,000.
This would be a great thing that we put in for our capital. It's something we've wanted for the last couple of years, but especially the way the last couple of winters have been, it's okay. It'll be nice once, especially when
Well, if you're gonna make a decision between salt and a lunchroom update.
Well, if I had to pick for next year, I'd pick the training room area.
There you go.
Okay.
Decision making, huh?
Next we've got, and these are, you guys, you can go over these, I have these, I'll let you got these, but these are the LED
What do you-
updates
What do
in
you
the
have for your
field.
number up in the corner?
What,
on the
oh,
screen?
I'm at 60,000 for balance, so a total, my total of all these things that have X's on them are yeah, that number, so 3.683.
Were we okay laying over the roads? And he's still got that text, it would open up more money.
No, I saw,
Do you have those?
yeah, these are the roads right here, sorry, these are the, you can see them.
No, the residential. Still have 500,000 X.
Oh, I think I think we're doing the 500,000, I mean, this one you mean?
Yeah, I had suggested a way over.
Oh, all the road project, not any residential, I guess that's not what I was thinking we were doing. I think, I guess my opinion would be we should be doing residential road projects every year, so we don't get out of sync up those, because we know we need to do those.
That's.
I think
that's
saving
what-
MFT, and then saving up the MFT money for the other projects and really starting to get some of that into it and
Well,
save.
I guess
for the
I
big-
was into.
A bigger project?
With a bigger
Yeah.
project, essentially, but.
But I guess, one thing I'll say about that
Like I
is,
said, I'm good either way, I just
we can, I mean,
throwing it out there because we could boost that up for the
Yeah.
rest of what's left, but.
I would just say is that I think it's probably important to keep on doing the residential street programs, keep the residential roads, just to. We know what's going to be done and we absolutely have to be done, right? So when we're doing a whole big group of, my supposed to do big groups, it's cheaper, I guess, but,
Even if we were gonna roll that over, then we'd have to leave it X, because if you DX it, then we're gonna spend it, you're not really holding that money back. So either way, that money needs to come out of the budget,
or we can say it
whether
goes out of
we
the
use it or
budget.
we
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. I mean, you're making this call still.
Yeah, I mean,
At
we
some
could just
point, we're
use it,
going
but
to,
don't think there's gonna be $1 million next year, then we will use it, the money's gone. So it depends on if
I know what
you
you're saying. I
wanna use
mean-
it, or you wanna
Yeah.
roll it over.
yeah. Or hold it in here and say, okay, this board, when we get to I mean, this is just the budget. So when we get to the point of, okay, hey, Brandon, go design the residential roads. You know, that's when you can say, okay, or you can say, we're not gonna do that. I mean, we can make that call. But I know what you're saying, yeah, otherwise, unless we move it back into the MFT fund or in the capital fund, out of this spreadsheet, really.
It
It's
becomes
not
operational
available.
monies and
Or
stuff.
it becomes money that you wanna spend during these
That I don't like.
projects. Yeah,
No, I don't wanna do that.
No.
I think we leave it X just because it either should be roads
Yeah.
or it should be laid over for more impressive road
Yeah.
project like what Justin was saying.
and this is actually comes from the capital project. So this is actually in the capital project fund. That's where we pull that money from. Anyone else has general fund here? But yeah, that is coming from the capital project funds.
Okay,
And we're
like I said, I'm good
gonna.
either way, just throwing.
Up to you guys.
But that's holding out this 1.6 or this 549. That's out of there.
Those are out of there.
He does have those.
Gone, okay.
We basically have 61,000 left that we could spend.
Again, some of this is from like that, those are capital project ones, so that's not, yeah, some of those in there. I guess also say is that transfer from, we call it the garbage transfer, right? That goes in the capital project fund. That's sort of generally where that capital project fund goes in. So it'll just build up that capital project. We don't spend it. So I can leave it in now. I think, yeah, it's fine, leave it in there, and if we choose not to do those programs, then we know at least it's in
now.
there.
See where we end
And
up.
then we'll make a decision on it, yeah, so.
This is just round one, so.
There you go.
And then the rest of these, I mean, so we've got the bulb LED upgrades on those. Those are probably things that don't have to be done right now. Those are we've upgraded some of the fields already, but at some point, we're gonna wanna do this, but.
Yeah, Leland Park especially, we can put, there's a couple that are out. Swanson is probably gonna need, I'm sure Attorney Green, I don't know if you've heard anything from the state line sports. I know the one field, they have a hard time playing night games because there is a lot of them out. So we're going to have to replace, either way, I know we're going to have to go in with them, because I know that, I think the last contract was, they replaced the bulbs, but if it's more than bulbs, like if it's other parts of it, village pays for. It's kind of hard, we have nothing that will reach that, so we're definitely gonna have to rent a big lift to make it up there.
That's what I remember. Our bucket truck won't reach up there. Am I
No,
correct?
we need at least, they're up 570 feet. I know one time I've heard that we've had the fire department come over and help their ladder truck. But the last time they did that, then they got a call, so
Yeah.
nothing happened. So it'd be probably best is to rent one of those big G lifts, 80-footer or something.
I will leave these.
We don't need 80 for Swanson then, do we, or?
I don't know, we need, I mean, this is the, I think we got these from these are pretty accurate quotes, yeah, these are from the company.
They're
That's to
like
replace everything or just the ones that are out?
both fields, everything,
Yeah.
and then along with the grant that was. in there.
This is to, trustee, right, this is to replace them into LED lights, replace all the lighting fixtures. What Troy's talking about is that we put their ballasts out, we'll replace the ballast, otherwise they pay for the actual bulbs. So it's much less than this. This is to actually upgrade all of those lights into LED. Because they're old and they eventually need to be replaced. So we did this also at Riverside Park already, we worked with the,
But we really don't have enough left to do those two. If you've got.
Correct.
61,000.
yeah. We
So,
don't have to, I mean, those are ones we can definitely do next year.
yeah, I would say
I
that,
think probably all these are probably.
so
later
Troy,
on.
when you get the trailer, could
We
you
still
do
said-
two shorter trailers or why do you have to have a 24-foot one?
Well, 24-foot one will be able to fit the 2 0 turns in there, and I'm thinking ahead of with our all new structure playgrounds, that we're gonna need a walk behind mower, like what 36-inch one. Bigger than like a little 21-inch push one.
So you have to have an all trailer then?
Yeah, like, and then with it being big enough like that, we can keep all the weed eaters, backpack blowers in the front part. And then how it has the front, that instead of like the back door too, it has the front one where you can get out, so they're moving everything, you can walk in there. One we have now is 20-foot or 21-foot or something, yeah, so it's only.
You couldn't do like 2 16s and end up a bigger trailer or have 2 different trailers?
Well, for this one being enclosed, we have an open one right now. And
I'm just saying that if you could get 2 16-foot trailers for less money than $20,000. And then you'd have 32 feet worth of trailer. But unless there's some special
it's just, then we have to have more storage, we have to put them outside.
trailers,
Yeah.
what does that matter? If they're trailers, they're enclosed, right? I mean,
Well, I don't have 2 parked trucks to carry around 2
okay,
trailers.
okay. I'm just asking, just a question.
Yes, is this something you need right now or is this something we passed on?
They can be pushed.
I
They'll
think-
fit on open trailers.
Yeah. I think something we talked about is we get more parks or, we get more property development, we're gonna eventually need to probably do more mowing and more equipment, but.
Do the 72-inch 0 turns, are those the ones that fit in that tree? Correct. So you need to have a trailer for those,
No, they'll fit on our old open trailer right now.
and you store those inside right now?
Yeah.
Then if you got new mowers, you would put those inside?
Yes.
Okay. So this 24-foot trailer right now is not critical?
Yes, we still have to fix the
We
lights.
still have to fix some
It
lines.
just won't cost 80,000.
Okay.
35,000, it'll be something hopefully less.
It'll come out of part of the, maintenance budget, just to try to.
Okay.
If it's bulbs, we don't pay anything. If it's anything more than bulbs, we'll pay.
Whatever.
The ballasts.
Ballast,
Got
or
And,
any of
and
the other
that's in the
fixtures.
contract, isn't it?
Yeah, that did not change in.
Yeah.
And we'll have to rent the lift to get up to it.
Yes.
So yeah, municipal Christmas tree purchase is next on there. I think we've sort of addressed that in the past. I think. Decide we're gonna hold off on that, I believe. I'm good with buying one.
Our Christmas tree lighting fund
Yeah,
that we've always had, is there anything left in that? Is it
well,
still
we
a
need to
thing?
get that figured out with our treasurer. So, and then we need to give him some we need to get some direction on. How we're gonna do those. And we had that set at one point and how that's being tracked. That'll be a question from Marcus. So we'll get into that. Cause I had that same.
But actually, there was more than just Christmas lights. That was that
It was.
fee up there for the one electrical company. We broke it up into like 3 or 4 different things.
Yep.
Yeah, one of them went to the police pension fund, whatever was left over went to the police pension fund, and then there were, I think, 3 other separate accounts in it.
Yep, so yeah, we absolutely need to get those. Yes. Questions on that.
Yeah, cause we haven't used that in a while. If that money's stuck in there, you might get your tree.
Yeah. Well, if it was, yeah. for-
Is that a one-time use, 30,000 of a tree?
Yeah, this is, yeah,
Well, it's a fake tree, so they put it up every year.
yeah. This is a, oh no, I'm sorry, I got one-time use. This is a one-time payment, one-time purchase, 3,000.
I'm thinking that's.
You're thinking what we had the proposal come to us where it was like rent it for 20,000 for once a year or whatever,
Yeah,
which
no.
is crazy, but. No,
Yeah, I
this
mean,
is. a
this year looked
purchase.
like,
So,
all the trees that were up there.
Those were donated by, or
I mean, to
mostly,
me-
they were, we got very discounted, but they were donated by.
Yeah, but that was a good solution.
Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah, I
great.
think that's, it decorated the whole place.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Digital
Um,
speed signs, I think we need.
Speed signs. Sam, I mean, these are for, and we talked about these, we want them or not, these are for the schools, right? Or by the
Yeah, on
schools?
each side of the schools, Connect Next School and Roscoe Middle School, 2 schools we have in jurisdiction on each side.
And these do what? These are the ones that,
They are digital speed signs, and then we'll also have the school zone signs on the same post above where it's.
Shows your
Speed
speed, right?
Yep, and then they also it'll start flashing.
and then we can, those track them as well too, right? We can download anything from them.
There's downloads and stuff that you can, and they're all solar power. This is with the solar panels and everything with it.
That's good. They seem pricey, but I don't know. I guess it's just how they cost, right? Yeah,
I
it is
remember we
pricey.
bought, well,
Yeah.
we bought that one.
Yeah, oh, it's four, okay.
That's for.
That's right. Okay, I thought it was 2 for some reason.
They're
I'm sure I have it on
$3,000
the. Yeah,
Yeah, it's, I thought they were.
We bought one in
For
January.
each direction.
Yeah.
that's right. Okay. And then the last item I have on here is strategic planning for the Village of Roscoe. Like we talked about previously. I think the more important thing is to get the comprehensive plan done. And then it's gonna come
Yeah.
later on, and it can be much less than $40,000 too. This is like, we had some quotes with other people, but. I
Have
think
you
they- I think
had
they hold off
quotes
on that.
about this?
What?
Have you had quotes?
I got prices. I get specific for our village here. I got just general prices, what other places have paid. 'cause
Okay,
most of them are all public in their documents, so it's sort of easy on that one, but. I think we leave that off there.
What's left?
$45,000. We don't have to spend every cent either. So that's where we're at, those $45,000
I
from
would
this list.
Throw out if we wanted to, or if we did, maybe we just do Leland lights. That's 35.
We don't have to do them both.
Yeah, so at least one of the parks is updated,
Get going.
and that
I guess.
one being in the middle of town, it does get quite a bit of use.
Does that include a small light by the playground, or is that just the big lights? Could we get it to include a small light by the playground?
We put the one up that shines over there, but it's kind of a ways away. We could,
I just remember I went to a Memorial baseball game and I watched the kids play on it in the dark, and it was a nightmare. You couldn't even see them.
we could probably get something on there, especially if there's the telephone poles on the parking lot side. We might be able to get something.
Yeah, that'd be nice, because I know they're not technically supposed to play on it after dark, but we allow games after dark, so kids are gonna be just playing. So anybody get hurt,
So.
I'd be okay with doing these. So that way it's only one part you have to worry about.
So that's all our lists that we have on here. Just let's break close in here. If there, I guess, so my follow-up is to narrow down the number on Hodges Run for everybody, right? And you get that number firmed up based on phasing. So I'll get that number firmed up for everybody. The big one, I think. Are there other things you want us to look at? I need to get the job description to you for the community development person, so you can make a sort of decision on that. Are there other capital things? I mean, a lot of this stuff we'll be talking about in like about a month or two when we start our capital project for 2026, which I think like will be starting around March 1st or so, March. But But for this year, is there anything you want us to sort of look at?
Maybe we have to finalize it.
I guess that's the question for everybody here. We may have to the first quarter, so by probably March, we have to do it by March, but I prefer to do it, if we can, next week meeting or the first meeting in March. Depending on if there's other questions or things you want us to look into. I can put it on for a first read. At some point, we have to sort of formalize this so we can publish the appropriation ordinance portion of it. We have to publish that and it has to be available. So if we can, finalize this either on next meeting or the first meeting in March, that would be good.
I'm just asking that because I'm thinking Price Foundry, but if we lower the price, the money would just not get spent, I guess, it'd just be a line.
Yeah, yep.
This
Take it real-
stuff, we don't have to spend all this.
We don't have to
We're just-
spend all
Right.
This is our plan.
Yeah.
For
And yeah, this is a plan, maybe we do like, is this process, hopefully next year, if we get one of the capital plans, this part will be much, much easier in the future. So.
Yeah.
And then we'll get, sort of design 1 year, we'll start getting into a cycle eventually. Pretty easily. Other things you want addressed in here, I think a lot of maintenance stuff is in the operating budget, anything else? Keep you dragging this out, but if there's questions now, like here and now.
Yeah, subdivision signs would be nice, but that's been a decade, so.
I think we have, based on the ordinance we passed a little while ago, we've got money in the budget for the subdivision signs. So that's a matter of us bringing forward. We do have money in there based on that policy. So we do have
Let's
maintenance.
get this logo done and let's get some subdivision signs up.
franchise fees, can you figure out where they
Oh,
are?
yeah, franchise fees,
What
yep.
there is and
And what we actually set as
what we spent and. didn't spend.
dedicating.
Maybe have to reallocate or move those around
Yeah,
again.
subdivision sign. First print.
Better rollout of this special event for the summer, we need to make one. Yes.
Oh,
Police and public works.
yeah, so I'm gonna put in the I'm gonna update the operating budget, which there's a 10,000 right there, actually. I'm gonna update that to reflect $10,000 for the summer event, the River Summerfest event. And then obviously we'll have to make sure our police department and our public works department update their special event overtime budgets to reflect that as well. So we can get that number sort of solidified and separated out for everybody. Just for that. And those are being tracked a little differently this year, so we'll have a little more solid numbers for next year too.
And my goal is honestly, if this thing does fly and we start to get some decent numbers in, we can chop that number down. I'd like to get most of this.
We just gotta
And-
appropriate. for
Yep,
it.
I would say
We're
that's
trying to
the big
spend
key too, is we have to appropriate and then even money that comes, like we get donated money, we get money coming through to spend it, we have to appropriate it. So we have to appropriate it anyway,
Okay.
even if it's, donations coming through, that's part of our
All I can.
revenues, yep.
You've done that.
Yeah, bag.
Jim's lot. Congratulations.
Oh, I guess, are we all good with,
First round. good.
restaurant week too?
With what?
The restaurant week that's proposed, we're fine with that, generally us doing that and going forward and bringing a plan forward to everybody for that. So we mentioned it's in the special event, we wanted to do a restaurant week. We sort of started up on doing it a little bit right now, Janelle's done some initial legwork on it right now. I think generally has buy-in from all the restaurants here.
Anything we can do for
Our
our
business unit,
restaurants?
yep. So, and she's got buy-in from everybody so far on it, but we've sort of held off on, okay, until we had some sort of budgeted information for it, from doing anything toward it.
Restaurants.
So I'm gonna have her,
What are we doing? What is it actually doing?
I'm going to have her come in and present. We're not doing anything right now, because we don't have any, we're not approved by you guys. I want her to come in and present to
Yeah, but
you.
what do you want to do?
Oh, what we want to
What do
do?
you want to spend this money on? What, I mean, is it,
Oh,
we're all gonna come
it's-
downtown here and?
No, it's gonna be each restaurant will host their location with a special menu. I think we're gonna try and aim for like May or April, I think on this, April or May.
a restaurant.
There'll be like a, yeah, you'll have like a pass,
Okay.
restaurant call, yeah, you'll have a
Where
passport.
are you paying for like advertising and stuff, or what is the money for?
No, oh, the money is for, yeah, advertising, and it's not gonna be that much, we can drop. We're gonna give you for free out some flyers, and then, yeah, posters on that, and then helping with some, maybe some of the menu type things that go to each of the places for like the passport portion of it. It will not, it's not gonna be $2,000, I don't think at all, but,
They should probably bring in samples for us to taste, just, you know.
yeah, we'll make sure we mention that, so we can do a whole tasting.
We have to okay.
And you can put up your passport, but we're actually working with Rockford right now, trying to see if they can help us with the passport, because they have a restaurant week obviously in Rockford. And help us with sort of like the check-ins, because they have the
One right now.
app already, but yes, so anyway, we'll have John come and present that, sort of our ideas for it, coming up here. As we go, we just want to make sure we had some support for it in general before we get too far into like the planning phase of it.
Well, I get some of you are involved in this from the beginning, so you know what's going on. Some of us aren't.
Oh, yeah, no,
Need to
there's
know.
not anything at this point besides,
What's
hey,
going
we
on.
would like to do a thing called Restaurant Week that we would have, but there's not any more than that. I know as much as I know on this right now.
No,
Besides that, she's talked to people.
passports and there's crawls and
So
there's
we're kind of brainstorming.
going on.
We're just brainstorming about it though, yes,
That's fine. They just-
so, yep,
I can't read your minds.
no, exactly, yeah, I want to have her coming and present it to you, because I think she'll be able to firm me up a little more and you get a better idea. Okay, so I'm gonna move on with round one here. I'll get that updated and emailed out to you. I'm gonna email you the same spreadsheet updated with the current and then revised, and then I will get you a detailed capital budget with the current and as of right now, and then the revised numbers, so you've got those as well. Yeah, I will do both of those, yep, and I'll have it noted in there.
Before the meeting.
Yep, I'll get that out tomorrow, because I've got the updates on there. Okay, so, all right, we'll move on from there. Item number 3 we're on now. Discuss recommendation to extend the contractual tree maintenance and removal contract with Tree Care Enterprises. This is something that we put out every few years. We will bid this, we'll bid this out. This is our, we have trees need to come down. Our guys obviously can do some smaller ones. We have big ones that have to come down in the parks or on potential roads or just around. That are bigger than, we can do ourselves. They're a contracted provider right now, emergency, trees around the road or falling down, they're our emergency provider. We've bid it out initially a couple years ago. Then we had an agreement for a few years. We rebid it and they were the only ones to bid. And so last year, I think we extended our contract out, or 2 years ago, we extended our contract out for another year with them. That's what we're asking for again today. Eventually, or probably maybe next year, we'll probably want to bid this out again and see if we can get any people. But they're holding their prices the same as they are currently, which I think is pretty fair. We've had really good experience with them. Troy can mention anything else you want to about
They
Tree Care.
even gave us the free bucket training too. They certified us all. They came out to our bucket truck and certified us all for free.
Nice.
And we've had, so we'll put it out for bid again probably next year, but I say we have very few people who want to bid this contract with us around here, so.
Motion to send it to them.
All right.
Second.
Motion by trustee Flock, second by
Right,
trustee Wright.
Mhm.
Sure. Have a roll call, please.
Babcock,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Malco,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Block.
Yes.
Item number. I'm just gonna on still. Item number 4, discussion of entering into an alternate supply agreement for natural gas services to village-owned buildings and facilities. And she said, I will address it. And she must be off. Okay, so this is a really quick one. This is easy enough to talk about, is that, so just very similar to how we bid out our electrical services for the whole village. We bid out that big contract to get cheaper rates for electrical services. With gas services, we bid out businesses, so small businesses, which we are included around that size of a small business. We can actually bid out to have a alternate supply of gas. So it'd still be NICOR, we're paying for like all the service lines and the billing and all that, but the actual gas supply gets bid out to what was bigger. Same as like electricity, it's ComEd who's doing the service lines and the billing, but then your actual electrical supply is coming from a third party. So we've done this in the past few years. And our rates have been, pretty, been lower than, the standard rate at NICOR. Our current rate, you have a listing here of what it is, so, we will bid this out. You've got the sheet of what the estimates are for the pricing. Current rate is 0.4465. Rock River Energy is our provider. I'll have them come in and talk about the electrical at some point. But Rock River Energy Services is the company that we've been worked with for many, many years now, who handles all of our bidding out of all of our electrical services for the electricity aggregation program, as well as they do our bidding for the night for our local gas, village-wide gas program, for just the village hall and our village buildings. So this is, and just note, this is not for like the public. We're not saying, okay, public, this is one that you have to use this provider. We can't do that. But this is for us as a small business, the Village of Roscoe as a entity, bidding it out. What their recommendation is on this is to do the any of the gas rates in there, but to do with the national gas index, so it will sort of follow the rates, I guess they average them out across time. I can have Marty explain more of this to you, or people explain more about this if you want, but essentially it's locking in on that index rate, which they think is probably gonna be the best price for us to have as a separate outside of the NICOR general pricing. So really, this is just authorization to bring this to the board to allow them to bid out the gas pricing for us.
Okay.
So
So moved. Second.
Motion by trustee Block, right, I guess, and then second by trustee Penny. Roll call, please. This will move into the board for approval.
Right?
yes,
Block,
Yes.
Babcock,
Yes.
Malaco,
Yes.
Teddy. Yes.
Okay. Item number 5, we've already sort of talked about, giving, it would be the village sponsored summer special event. Do you have anything else you'd like to add about that? Address it. Item number 6 is discussion of the committee of the whole structure, trustee Black.
So bringing this up because in the past, the village has had separate committees essentially for public works, village hall, police department, things like that, where a trustee actually was the head of that committee. And 2 other trustees would chair it under them. I'm gonna kind of turn it over to Stacy here in a second, but he knows more about it and I've asked him to speak to it because he's had experience with it. But my biggest thing for bringing this up is just the communication barrier we've kind of had, just, it's not just now, it's been years of communication between departments and the board. And then also, I think it'll help in staffing, trustees be able to help out a little bit more and take a little bit off of our staff. But if you could speak to what the structure of it was and.
I can tell you how it used-
Options we had.
How it used to work was there was a committee chair for each group, and we'll just say police for now. There were 3 members, 1 chair, 2 other board members. There was a lot of crossover, but before each trustee chaired usually at least 1 committee. And then the members would interchange. Some of the pluses were that you had more direct input with the department heads, because back then, let's say Mike would work directly with Chief, Justin would have worked directly with Troy, and then they would have brought this stuff to the committee and discussed it, and then that committee brings it to the board. It did, in a downfall, create more meetings. It did get to a point where we felt like we were meeting almost every night because every chair wanted to have their meeting on a different day, but because of the overlap, there was a lot of back and forth. That was kind of where we got to when we went to the committee of the whole. Because everybody was there anyways, we kind of rolled it into that. So it has its pluses and minuses again. You do have more direct input with department heads. It gives them a different layer. It was before we had an administrator that played liaison to some of that. So if you have questions, I can try and remember and explain more about it. But that was kind of the big pluses, and again, were the communication and the ability to work directly with department heads instead of more through. I guess the other option would be that we could pick one of us to be the committee chair at the committee of the whole instead of the administrator. And then that person would have more direct, again, contact to the department heads. So that's another option, is that one of us could take that role on. Joe would have operational control during the day with the village president, but the department heads would then be able to relate directly to a trustee instead of him. That's all I have.
No, I appreciate it. I just, I mean,
Yeah.
you knew. way more
I've
than
served
you
through
talked
both, so yeah, I
better
mean,
than I could, so.
like I said, there's ups and downs to both of the ways we have it. The biggest down for me was just all the meetings. There was a lot of meetings. It was literally almost every night
It was,
we had a meeting.
it was.
So that was the big draw why we went to this. But if we feel that this isn't working or we want to manipulate this, obviously everybody can see here how it's supposed to be laid out. We can adjust it. And I don't think it's a reflection on anything other than maybe trying something different. Or not.
Explain the second one. Somebody, Joe still runs the meeting, but there's.
You wouldn't
I
have
don't need to run the
to,
meetings.
he doesn't have to run
Yeah.
this committee meeting at all.
I don't need to.
We originally appointed him, we appointed the administrator as a neutral party to run the meetings. We had originally talked, I think in the beginning, we talked about even voting on one of
Rotating.
us doing it, and there was a lot back and forth, and we just said, well, we have an administrator, we let the administrator run it. The administrator runs the day-to-day operations along with the village president. That makes most sense. But it doesn't have to be that way. We can appoint one of ourselves.
The
The
ordinance says
committee,
that right now,
yeah,
right?
I mean, the committee meeting is technically our meeting. It's 6 of us. We, as the thing says, the president is, I forget the exact wording, but XO, yeah, so she comes in to advise, or whoever's in that position. Joe, again, would be probably more just taking our directives back then, and he wouldn't have to run the meeting, and he would be bringing that person the information. So that person would work more directly with Joe and the president and the department heads.
Some historic background, way back when the concept of village administrator was rolled out as a necessity, there was great opposition by the village president at that time. So as to keep business flowing, the decision was to go to the committee of the whole and make the village administrator a new position. They chair that committee. And as Joe said, the ordinance allows for the selection of whomever. And if you remember, when you were first convened a while ago, you made that decision to continue with that, and you can change it. My questions about these subcommittees are several. I am not really understanding what a communication problem exists. People answer your questions. You can talk to staff at any time whatsoever. And your role, our role, is to set policy. Our role is not to get in the weeds and manage the day-to-day affairs. And third, if you have a committee with 3 people, anytime 2 of you are standing together, you have a potential violation of the Open Meetings Act. And so that creates all kinds of problems. And so it's not just simply the meetings, it's who's going to do the agendas, the minutes, call those meetings, and all of those other types of things. This fragmentation is chasing a problem that hasn't been clearly defined. And the committee of the whole affords everyone the opportunity to voice their opinion, get things on the agenda, ask for research, call up a staff member, get your questions answered, make an appointment, drop in. I don't think any of you have had that difficulty in the past 2 years
No, I thought it was,
doing that.
I thought it was an interesting that Justin brought it up. So I started thinking about, it. And really, we've had some, we have a different group now, kind of a balanced group with new people and older people. But I think looking back, it's like, okay, I could think of four things that we had a lot of discussion on. And about every one of those four, even though we had a lot of discussion, we ended up voting about 90% of the time same, other than Hawks Point, the financing part of that. So I don't think, and of course, this is my first experience with the committee of the whole. I remember when Scott Sanders explained why it went to committee of the whole. So to me, I think this has been very effective. We go into executive session, we've had some good discussions there. We come out. It's all been pretty reasonable, I don't think there's been, so I couldn't think of any situation. And for me personally, I don't have time to meet every day of the week. I would not be chairing any committee. Already, it's a commitment of time. By the time you take the time to review everything we're going over before we get to the meeting, any conversations that you have outside of the meeting, which has to be one-on-one to not be open meetings act. So I think, well, to my opinion, I think it's effective what we're doing right now. So with all due respect, Justin.
Oh, I'm just bringing it up as an idea.
No,
for
I
everyone
think
to look at.
I think
we
it
have
caused
that.
me to think about it, but I thought, you know what? The pavilion at the township, that was a lot of discussion. The most recent one with, which I was not able to attend the presentations, but the engineer, that was another one. Some of the road stuff that we've talked about. I think some of them we've had, but it's been pretty good dialogue between this group. So I personally like it the way we're doing. So, and I think Joe, it's a transition for him, but we've had the experience with Scott. To me, they bring a lot to the table that I don't want to have to go off and learn to just have a meeting. So that's my thought.
Well, we'd be happy just reporting too. This is your committee. I mean, I'd be happy if you guys gave me agenda, if you have topics, or not give me, give the clerk, right? Whoever's gonna be doing the agendas, but right now we do it, but having, getting those agenda items on there, getting, leading the discussions more, that's perfectly fine. It sort of defaulted it over the last couple of years where, Scott Pryor and myself, we sort of end up having the stuff to talk about and hope that we get discussion, but I mean, absolutely add things to the agenda. I mean, it takes one trustee to add to the committee of the whole agenda, right? It's not a majority, it's not a vote. I mean, only going to the board, do we have to have some sort of, structure to that or some sort of, some sort of support for it. So tonight, I mean, it was great. Hey, Justin, okay, talk about committee of the whole. Hey, Mike, talk about your thing. I'm happy to have more of those. I wouldn't mind having more of those types of things where it's, you bring up at the committee level, bring up your topics, look at it on there. If you need staff to give some information on it, and we'll obviously have staff will have, requests as well to go on the agenda, too. That happens, that will probably continue to happen, right? We're day-to-day people, but if there are topics, put them on there and lead discussions, right? Like this is what the committee is for. It's for you guys to discuss and give us the direction, sort of lead that direction. So,
If we were to replace it, take more off of your plate.
we'll see. I guess we'll see.
Stuff like that.
I mean, we'll see. Like I'm doing the agenda right now. I mean,
Right.
picture that over, to the clerk. I know we've got less time with our clerk currently. If the next clerk might have more time in the village, it'll be easier for them to do it. I mean, I guess the actual running the meeting, I don't care either way. I guess I can say, hey,
Well, I'm just,
point them out, but
if you're spending
Yeah,
time
yeah.
on building an agenda, say you're spending
Yeah.
6 hours a week to do that, you could be spending 6 hours doing something else.
yeah. Well, I guess I mean, I'd be fine either way, but somebody's got to do the agendas. Maybe have somebody who's doing the agendas. That makes sense, but I'm not sure that would be the question. I think I would like to have more trustees say, hey, we want reports from Troy about whatever, and we've had some of that, we've gotten some of that, but I can say there's very few times when I've got requests, from a trustee saying, hey, have whoever report back to us on X. And I think we used to probably do that more often. We've had trustees say, hey, we want to know more about whatever it is. Right now, we can sort of say, okay, what do we think the board's interested in hearing about? What is the board interested in, knowing, what level, what detail? It can't be everything. We can't tell you everything that happens at all times. And we try to hit the big stuff either through email or at these board meetings. But, if there are things you want to know more about, and you want to, hey, give us reports on whatever, update on, Hodges Run, or updates on Main Street Project, or updates on, I don't know, the mail service at Drippy Ridge, whatever it is, right? Tell us that. If you give that to us, we can have whatever, either myself or whatever relevant staff member, do those reports, or Attorney Green can be here to update on certain things, right? It just depends. So I would not mind having more trustee input to have discussions at these level, at the meeting level.
And this is all new to me, so I'm just sort of taking it in and thinking about what you're doing. And I would say more of the communities that I'm involved in have a committee of the whole and board structure. Maybe one day a month they do committee of the whole, the other day of the month they do the board. Machesney Park happens to have 3 committees. They have an A&F committee, Administration Finance Committee, Public Safety Committee, and a Planning and Economic Development Committee. Those committees meet, the A&F committee meets twice a month before the board meeting. So at 5:45, A&F meets. And then at 5:30, one or the other of the other 2 meet. And that works fine, and it's very compact, and the trustees serve a legislative function. They don't really serve a managerial function. And I think you need to try and keep those 2 separate. But as I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm thinking you have old business, new business as set items on your agenda. You could create like 2 or 3 permanent categories. 1, public safety. And then anytime there's an issue with police department, that's where that goes. Public works as a topic on your committee of the whole agenda. Community development, just create some preset main topics that if you're concerned about certain aspects of what's going on, that's where those would go, and you'd have them kind of prearranged. That's just
I
me.
think I got our reports section.
Off the top of my head. I mean, I'm just listening to what you've said. You'd still be a committee of the whole, but your committee of the whole would have topics that you as trustees could say, hey, put this under public works, or put this one on whatever. So that's just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yes, but the more input we get from you, the better we can do our jobs. More traction.
I think my thought was wait until a new board is elected and let them decide.
If we're gonna do a major change.
Oh, yeah, we can.
Yeah.
I think this is just informational. I think
Bringing it up or.
we're looking at everything else.
I
We
like
need to once in a while think about how we do things, so.
I guess as we're talking about that, and I'm glad we're bringing this up because it's, you have topics you want on the agenda, give them to us. You have even just questions, right? I mean, I know the board is part of actually you've got access to call any of our staff members. I know people do or drop in, that's fine, we're fine with that. But I would also remind you, if you want to know the answer to that, probably somebody else on this board wants to know the answer too. So call them, ask them, get your answer, but then say, hey, Joe, can you have Troy report about whatever? And then he can report to the whole board about whatever. I think that is really useful because you're, as a whole, as a collective, have to make those decisions. You need that information. So if there's certain things you want, addressed, let me know, let the staff members know. They can say, hey, trustee Wright wanted to know about this. And you put it on the agenda, and we'll put it on the agenda. But I think that would be excellent to do. More, tell us what you want to hear, right?
What's the best way to tell you that? Because I have asked for things in an open meeting setting, like Park Lane, for instance, that I've never gotten an answer on in 2 years of how much it costs to put in 3 park lights.
I mean, look at those directions right now. Yeah, tell us what you want to do. Yeah, tell us.
Well, the
We'll
last
put it
time
on
I
the
brought it up.
agenda. We'll put it on the agenda.
Well, the last time I brought it up, you told me I
Yeah.
had to have the board's direction to put it on the agenda.
Not for committee. For the committee, anybody
But
can
that's
kind
what
of
you
check out.
told
We
me
can,
in that meeting.
but to actually get the kind of, it was, I think, a little more in depth of that.
I just wanna know how much it costs, right? So I can
He's
tell people,
thinking about his playground.
no, I'm not thinking about my playground, I'm thinking about the back of my neighborhood residents that contact me about safety issues. And I have no answer for them on how much it even costs. I don't know, you know, I don't know if it's realistic if we can put a light back there. Maybe it's $400,000 and I'll be like, sorry, it's not financially feasible. Not right for the village, right? But I just have to go, I don't know, nobody give me an answer. Or-
We'll put it on the agenda. We can put the discussion on the agenda. Yes, absolutely.
Would you like me
That's how you do
to
it.
email it to you? or-
Yeah, email it to me now, but I mean, I'll make a note of it, but just, yeah, we'll put it on the agenda for discussion about, you know, what we want to do.
Well, just, all I want is for someone to call ComEd and say, how much is this? I don't say we have to build it, but.
I don't know exactly the specific area. That's the problem, I guess. Like, tell me what areas or talk to me
I
about
will
Detroit.
email you.
Yeah,
Send a screenshot and I will circle.
Yep.
the area I'm talking about.
perfect.
That'd be great. Just so I
Yeah.
can finally.
We just
give
need to
somebody
know,
an answer.
yeah, we just need to know what to do, then we have, you know, try and Brandon figure out what kind of, and their electricians, and we can figure those. Item number, there's nothing else on committee. We're sort of not having action like that right now, but like I said, send stuff, we'll get them on the agendas. Public comment. Is there anybody with public comment? Let me get through. Public comment, no, here's anything online.
The executive session for. Land. We brought up earlier. Or you gonna send
I
it?
would already have, I talked to the few of you and just tell you what we're talking about
Awesome.
afterwards, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, we've already talked about it in closed session before, yeah. You'll know right when I tell you this.
I know what it is, but I just don't know.
I will tell you in a moment. And actually, and Attorney Green can address it too. Okay, so final thing is motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved, second.
Motion by trustee, by second by trustee. All in favor? Aye. Okay, we're adjourned at 9:20 PM.
Yes. I know.